Hey there, so today we have another review. This is a review of Alai, classic IPA. 6 hops in here, 7.5%. This is a widely accessible beer for me, and I thought I'd pick up a 12-pack when I was at Sam's Club the other day. So this was canned. I picked it up very fresh. This is canned about 6 weeks ago, and I picked it up about a month fresh. So been enjoying this one. I thought I'd review it for you guys because this is a very enjoyable beer. I did drop it. Yeah, that's a problem. So I did drop this can, by the way. So I tried to do another review and hope that it would settle, but that's what you get for dropping beer. There we go. So we actually got there. So 6 weeks fresh. If you guys don't know, one of my favorite videos that I've ever done was actually aging this specific beer. I think I found some. I aged it in the fridge. Yeah, I forget how long I did, but there's a certain amount of time. I can post a link above, but I put it in the fridge, put it in my kitchen, and then put it outside in Florida weather. And those three beers were vastly different. And I guess Cicerone teaches you that stuff, but it's impressive. Keep your hoppy beers cold, and that's the only advice I can give you. Yeah. Otherwise, the beer is going to turn out terrible. So there you go. Beer comes. It's darker for an IPA. The beer comes in a really solid medium to deep gold color. Not quite amber, but a solid deep gold color, actually. Yeah, it's like sunset orange. Slightly off-white head. Let's see what we're turning out this. Yeah. Slightly yellowish head. The beer is definitely not clear. It has a medium minus and medium haze to it. I mean, I could see I could see my finger, but it's not a chill haze at all. There's definitely haze to this beer. It's not a hazy IPA at all. I mean, I could certainly see my finger and everything. So medium minus haze. This beer is a little bit of a chameleon, right? Sometimes it's super, super juicy orange, clementine, tangerine, just ripe yellow, orangey for days. Here I get a little bit of that kind of dankness. I get that kind of heady topper thing where it's chivy, marijuana, a little bit diesely, just expressive hoppiness, but also that orange character. Cheers. So when I had this fresh, and it tastes just as good, and we're talking about literally I think I bought this 2 weeks ago. Wow. So one of the, as a joke, one of the great things about living in Florida. I mean, there's there's some great things. There's a few great things. Taxes being one of them, but one of the big ones is highlight. Wow, this beer smacks. Holy camoles. Let's go back in. Jesus, this beer is good. Jesus, is this beer good? So one of the things that I immediately think of is that if you can't get heady topper, you're getting, I personally would argue, first off, there's no beer that tastes like heady topper, so that's one of the harder things about heady topper. So to even mention any IPA in the same conversation is rare, extremely rare. So you're just cutting off so many IPAs off the market. There's no hazies don't taste like it. Classic West Coast IPAs don't taste nothing really tastes like heady. I did review a round table beer that sort of reminded me of it, but this, I believe, I would argue you're getting. I would argue you're getting anywhere from 60 to 75% of the experience of a world class beer, and this is a world class beer. So it's not even pushback. This is a world class beer. Heady's a world class beer. They're both unique beers. This is relatively unique because I don't think there's many other beers on the market that specifically taste like this. Heady Topper is very unique, and there's very few beers that taste like. But I think you're getting 67% tasting of that. So if you can't go to Vermont and you live in Florida, just drink this fresh. It's so impressive a beer. First thing you notice, sweet, orangey, juicy. It just rides, it rips at you. It's This is definitely on the sweeter side. Definitely not like San Diego, West Coast. There's crystal malt in here for sure. You can see in the color. This is not a dry beer in any sense, but it's hoppy. It's saturated. It rips at you with this sweet character that plays with the malts, and it's like it's not juicy hazy IPA, but it's juicy in like the West Coast way. So you can go sort of like classic IPA, but hit it with like I don't think again the West Coast beers. I'm sorry, West Coast. West Coast has to be on that for you guys this way. The West Coast beers are drier and they're never this fruity. So this has a little bit more like sweet malt to it, but not as far as here in Nevada, obviously. But then like it pushes so hard on citrus. Like those beers generally end up a little bit more bitter, a little bit more piney. But like man, you sort of play this world where you make a sort of classic style IPA, but you're pushing towards the New England with the big, intense, like ripping orange. Like it's so freaking intense. It's like yellow grapefruit and clementines and tangerines and peels and pith and pulp and it's just it hits. And then you get this really kind of like resonating hop character. I don't know how they make this beer, but I assume it's from whirlpooling or something that Roaring Table talked about it. But the saturation, hop saturation is what I'm talking about. The hops just hit, and it's not only the fruitiness of hops, but you just get this like wave that happens at Heady Topper does, where it's just literally hops. It tastes like freaking hops, and there are a few beers that, or some beers, but not too many beers that just sort of wave of hops. Like it's a combination of bitterness and hop flavor that not only hits like your tongue, but your entire enveloping palate. Like it just rides it. It's almost like umami, where it just like, and the hops it just like explodes in your mouth. It's weird. Again, few beers have this kind of like extra expressive hop character that shoots back. And then you get a really nice kind of like bready malt character. The crystal malt hits in a little biscuit, but it's not over. See, there's a candied sweetness that comes in. The malt supports the beer, but the beer is also bitter. This beer, not too bitter, has solid medium plus bitterness that sort of lingers. But I wouldn't argue this is a noticeably bitter beer. This beer really is based on expressive hop character, hop flavor, fruity hop notes, and obviously has a balance of IPA being bitter. But it doesn't sort of like rely on bitter. It's like something that every last beer sort of can think about is like main lunch. That beer is noticeably bitter. Like bitterness was a key characteristic of that beer. You sort of notice the bitterness and it hits there and hits at multiple points, and it's something it makes you want to think about. And this beer does not want to make you think about bitterness at all. It's there. It's an IPA. But that's not the highlight of this beer. It's the hoppiness and the freaking big citrus character that they're trying to push on this beer. And then it's a chameleon. There's another note that sort of comes in where it's like that kind of heady topper, kind of like diesely dank, kind of like it's almost like ripping towards like plastic, where it's almost like an off flavor, but it's like diesely and dank. And so now this sip doesn't have that sweet citrus anymore. It's diesely and dank. So that's another complexity you can get on the palate. Rides out a little bit sweet. So this is not like a beer that like you want to smash a six pack. I mean, obviously the beer is so good you could probably smash the six pack up, but it's definitely not a beer that I would think like. The beer does end up a little hair sweet. I find that the malt on here and the big orange character can be a little bit distracting. So like after 2-3 pints, maybe like move on to a smaller beer or a different kind of beer. It's not one of those beers where it's like the complexity is there, and I'm just like trying to figure out my words, but it is, I would argue, maybe like a 2-3-4 beer, maybe not a 5 or 6 beer. But that doesn't take away from how good those first couple beers are. Like this impact of flavor is super fresh, super delicious. This for me gets a 99. This is one of the best beers you're ever gonna find on the shelf. For an IPA being produced at this size, I would argue there's few to even compete with this. I think I did a blind beer tasting of IPAs, and for this amount of production, I don't think there's many beers out there to compete with this. It's specifically a little bit unique, I find, um, and yeah, it's freaking delicious. So the complexity is there, the big, unique, juicy hop flavors, the hop saturation. It's so good. 99. This is on 99. This might be up there with one of my desert island beers. It's definitely like on the cusp. So incredible. Alai, check it out. Incredible. Come to Florida. Or, I mean, obviously you don't have to be in Florida, but get this fresh. Like, get this dumb fresh, and it is freaking fire. 99. Cheers later.